All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. My phone says one thing and my computer says another one, so I'm never quite sure which one is right. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome to everyone to our our redo of the Church Windows Marking Bills as Paid, Clearing Out Paid Invoices webinar from about a month ago. This is a topic that we did try to do this same time last month, but as a result of a bug that was in the Church Windows 17.14.3 release. We just really could just show you how to do it, but the program wasn't actually saving our corrections. So we apologize for that, of course, but we're going to be able to go through it this time now that SR4 is released, and that will work for us. So the program should function as promised or as directed today. So we appreciate everybody who's rejoining us for the event. You will be able to see it actually work today. My name is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter. We're going to work for about the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap things up. I'm not sure if I'm going to have somebody answering questions for me today. If they do log on, then by all means type your questions in, but I will not be looking at questions throughout the webinar. I will, so if you do have questions, you may want to just hold off and ask those at the very end or type those to me there. But we'll definitely try to get to your questions as quickly and as efficiently as we can here. So a couple things before we get started. Use the little red arrow on the sidebar of your control panel to minimize the webinar control panel if you've got a single monitor setup, or if you've got a dual monitor, a second monitor, just drag that off to your other second desktop just to get it out of the way. Also, just FYI for folks who are joining us for the first time, never seen this before, been here, we go to churchwindows.com. I'm going to introduce my little highlighter friend here. Down here under our Church Windows support section over here, we've got our CW version 17 resources page and our support blog. Those pages are chock full of useful, free of charge information, movies, documents, what have you, of all kinds of things Church Windows related. Okay, not necessarily accounting per se, but for all of Church Windows, those are there are lots of useful documents and helpful information there. Okay. All right, so let's get into our topic at hand today. All right, so first off, the version 17.14 here in the upper right corner is our current version. SR4 was released, I think, either last Friday or Monday of this week. I think it was last Friday. It fixes some of the problems, the things we broke in 17.14.3. And this today, the marking bills as paid, basically corrections that where a reversal is not required. The dialog box that comes up and says your corrections have been saved. It wasn't actually saving the corrections, so be sure to install 17.14.4. That will fix this problem or the problems that you're having both with your reports and for your marking bills as paid. So just make sure that you're in getting that installed, or else what we're doing today isn't going to work for you if you have 17.14.3. So what this is in reference to is one of the most common support problems that we have is that when we go to pay bills, quick pay, view outstanding bills, users will call us and they'll say, hey, Josh, I've got all these bills that are sitting here. I've got some bills sitting here. It might be a lot, might be just a few, might be one. But basically they say, I've got this bill in here from whatever time period, could be this year, could be a prior year, that has been paid, okay? And the first thing I do is take them into this window and I say, okay, there's some information in here that's going to be helpful to us. So what is the account balance, or how does the account balance here compare to the amount due or the amount of the actual bill? Okay, because the amount due is always the amount of the actual specific bill transaction that's the actual bill transaction itself. Okay, the balance of the account is just simply the balance of the account at the time we're looking at this screen. Okay, so in 9 times out of 10, their response is, well, the account balance is 0. So just an FYI for you that the balance of the account being 0 simply confirms for us that in fact the bill was paid. Okay, whenever that occurred, whenever the payment was posted in the system, the bill itself was paid. If not, the balance would be either not 0 or it might be the same amount as the amount due. If the balance of the account and the amount due are the same, we might be looking at a duplicate bill problem. We might be looking at a missing payment. We'd have to investigate it, okay? But in the cases of those where the balance is 0 and the amount due shows up, the bill was paid, okay? Well, some of you may be asking, well, how does that occur, Josh? Okay, that's one of the questions that we get asked a lot. Well, how does this happen? Well, I can't say specifically how it's happening literally step by step for you, okay? But what I can say is that when we go in here and we say, Clark's Organ Repair and Christian Bible Supplies, and we click Create Payments down here at the bottom, we notice that for the very first one under Clark's Organ Repair here, we've got this outstanding bills in the Pay Now box right here, the check box. Somehow, at the time that the bill is being posted, at the time you click Post on that, that little Pay Now box is becoming unchecked. Okay? Somehow, some way. Okay? Essentially leaving the invoice as outstanding. Just leaving the bill as marking it as not paid, leaving it as outstanding. Okay? And so what I recommend in order to avoid this problem happening is just as before you click Post or Post and Print Checks, is just click on each one of the vendor names and it's a few extra mouse clicks, but it ensures or minimizes this problem happening again. It simply ensures as we go down the list, we're just checking to verify that all the invoices are being cleared properly. Okay? You'll just save yourself some time and perhaps some headache later. Okay? So just go down the list of vendors, could be 1, could be 3, could be 30, but just click on them and just make sure that the Pay Now box is checked. If that is occurring and the Pay Now box is being checked, then you should see when you come back in after the bills are posted under Quick Pay View Outstanding Bills, those vendors and those vendors should not be there, and those bills should not be in that list. Okay? Well, we're not going to correct this problem in this case by dealing with this problem this way. Okay? We're not going to post another payment for it. The bill's been paid. All right, so we're going to mark them as paid. So we're just going to delete our batch here. And we're going to go up to Transactions, Browse, in the upper left corner. This takes us to our Browse Transactions. We're going to go to Change Year, Filter, and Sort. Here's our transaction browser options. We're going to let the system do some work for us to help us find those unpaid bills. Okay, it looked like there were 6 or 8 of them in there. And so what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to, under our transaction browser options, we're going to click the Clear All button here on the far right. Everybody should see me drawing my line. And then we're just going to check the bill expense transaction. Okay, so we click Clear All. It removes all the check marks. We just put a check mark in bill expense, saying all we want to do is see bills. And then over here on the far left, we're going to uncheck the box next to Show Paid. Okay, we're going to just uncheck that. Okay, so all we're asking to see is any bill that is not marked as paid in 2015. Okay, let me get rid of my drawings here. And then we simply click OK. Here are those bills. All right, I'm going to maximize the window here. And it does look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7 bills. All right, so how we correct that, the bill is what's outstanding. So what we do is we simply highlight the first bill. There's Clark's Organ Repair. Doesn't matter which line of the bill, it's all the same transaction number 84. We click Correct. It opens up our window called Correct Bill Transaction. Okay. It says here this bill has not been marked as paid. The balance tells us something different, of course. Okay. So then we're going to go right over here to the far right and we're going to click this button labeled Mark as Paid. All right. We click Mark as Paid. It opens up all of our payments to the vendor. In this case, we've only got one payment in 2015 for Clark's Organ Repair. Okay, so we simply highlight the payment that paid the bill. Oftentimes, the date occurred of the bill and the amount will help steer us towards the proper payment. Okay, not always, but sometimes one payment can be made up of multiple bills. In that case, you really have to use date occurred and look at your overall bills to see if that's to find that payment. But then once we click the payment, we simply click OK and save corrections. So it says your corrections have been saved. And as we now close out of there, we now see that Clark's organ repair has now been removed. That bill has been removed from the list because it no longer meets our criteria of an outstanding bill. Okay? And so I would simply go down the list and do the same thing with any of my other bills. Highlight the Christian Bible supplies, click correct, click mark as paid. Again, I only have one payment for them in 2015. Click OK, save corrections. Then it again clicks OK. So I would just simply continue down the list for the other 3 or 4 transactions. Once the list was empty and I tied them to the payment, then I know that all those bills have been cleared out of here. So again, it's the bill that's outstanding, not the payment. So I have to let the system do some work. So I highlight the payment, click OK, save corrections. So now I haven't done them all, but now if I go back to my pay bills, quick pay, view outstanding bills, we now notice that my list is far smaller, far shorter. All right, so notice here under our view outstanding bills list, we do have some bills that are from 2014, also with a 0 account balance. Okay, if the year is not closed, I can change back to 2014 or to any prior accounting year and do the same process and mark those bills as paid. Okay, so I would simply close out of here, go up to special functions, manage years, change to another existing accounting year, choose 2014. Oh, but notice the year is closed. All right, so right here, closed year. This is telling us it doesn't provide the same sort of information that we have for when the year is open. So this year is closed. Okay, we would of course strongly recommend that you visit that list of outstanding bills if you do use the hard close feature. If you do not, then then please. Nothing says you have to use the hard close feature, but if you do, please make sure to click check those outstanding bills list. It's part of our end of year procedure documentation on our website for accounting. So don't close the year before checking that view outstanding bills list. Okay. So what do we do about that now? Okay. Well, we can only correct that in, say, 2015. The balance of the account being 0 helps us to a degree. Okay, so we would simply go to Pay Bills, Quick Pay, View Outstanding Bills. I'm not going to do that for my Chase Bank Visa because that is in 15. But I have to mark both my City Florist and Joe Blow Snow Removal as to select like I would any other payment and click Create Payments. Okay. The most important step of this is to leave the Pay Now box checked. If I don't check those, it's not going to clear those out. But I'm not going to record a dummy payment for $216.71. Okay? Essentially, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just recording a payment that I'm using to clear the invoice in 2015. Okay? So I'm just going to edit that amount to pay to like $1. You could do a penny, a dime, $1, whatever you wish. And I'm going to do the same thing for my Joe Blow Snow Removal here. So we're going to do $1. We're going to do just cash transactions. I mean, any payment method. We're not entering a check. We're not printing a check. We're just posting a payment. And post. And we're doing it right in April. Don't have to do it in a prior. You can do it in a prior period if you wish, but again, I'm posting something that's actually affecting my cash account. So doing it in the current month, if you're reconciled, say through March, recording this as an April date would work perfectly for you. So again, leaving it as monitoring the date, editing my amount to pay to a dime, penny, dime, dollar, what have you, editing to a payment method such as cash. Could enter comments if I wish, and then I'm going to click Post. I'm not going to print that. But I've now cleared out those invoices. Okay, so notice that those new 2014 invoices are now gone. But what I also have done though is if I go to my manage accounts and I look at my chart of accounts and I type in city and I find city florist, if I click my balance tab, I now notice that I have a negative dollar in my account. Remember, it was 0. Okay, and the same is true for my Joe Blow snow removal. Okay, so if I go to Joe Blow snow removal, click the balance tab, sure enough, there's a negative dollar in those. So I now have to then go to transactions, other. You could use a journal entry. I'm fond of the adjust asset transaction myself. So I do adjust asset. I'm going to do, my Huntington Bank checking. I'm going to increase it. I'm going to do $1. I could do both of them simultaneously, but I'm going to do them one at a time. I'm going to leave them as today's date, to adjust, for payment to clear 2014 bill. I can copy that text, go down here, and I can choose, city florist, re-enter my dollar, post. I would go up to other again and do another. I could do both of them simultaneously if I want. It's a matter of personal preference. Again, increasing by $1, pasting my comments, doing Joe Blow snow removal. If I could type today, again entering my dollar, and post. So, essentially now if I go back to my account, manage accounts, and I type in my city florist account, again, and I find that, and I click the balance tab, now we're back to 0. Okay, and the same would be true for my other vendor account. Okay, both are back to 0, exactly where they should be. Okay, the only other thing we have to keep in mind now is that when we go to our April bank reconciliation, okay, for my Huntington Bank checking, I'm going to now see a deposit on my deposit side for $1 for my adjusting journal entries. I'm going to see those dollar payments on the withdrawals. As long as I check both of those dollar transactions on deposits and withdrawals equally on the same bank rec, they will not impact my difference to reconcile, and I still should be able to reconcile this account perfectly. Okay, so you just have to make a note for yourself to keep an eye out for those dummy transactions and those adjusting entries to clear on your next bank reconciliation. And I've dealt with that all in the current period. Didn't do anything to change anything from back in 2014. I couldn't do anything in 14 because the year is closed. So yeah, just an FYI, folks. That's how you clear out those invoices. The most common, though, is the one with the 0 balances. So as long as you know how to go in, find the bill, again, let the system, the filter and sort, do the work for you. Find those bills, highlight them, correct them, mark them as paid. That'll clear those out of there. There's a lot of assumption that, oh, the bill is there, it must be a duplicate bill. The balance is the clue. It tells us exactly what occurred. Okay? So if you have questions about it, please give us a holler. We're happy to help with it, of course. But with about another minute or so left, folks, I'm done with what I'm talking about. If you do have questions, of course, please go ahead and type those in the questions portion of the webinar. I'll address those as quickly as I can, or as much as I can. Kathy's asking, will this be archived? Most likely we will make a recording of this available at some point, Kathy. Unfortunately, I can't promise exactly when. But yes, there will most likely. I don't know if it'll be on the online videos page or on like the version 17 resources page, but we'll eventually have it available, yes. Linda's asking, where do we get the 1714 install? That's a good question. So if we go back to our browser, we go to churchwindows.com. Right here on the main page, under our customer support and install help right here, download updates, or down the left side under support, you'll see the download current updates page as well. So yeah, if we scroll down right there is download current updates right here. Thank you, Marilyn. Great. I'm glad it helped. If you do have Church Windows networked, of course, please remember to have your install the 17.14.4 on all of your computers, each workstation, and the server.